Morning, everybody. Welcome to the Vision of Hope Summit Facebook group. Today, I am live with Gina because I am so excited to share her experience. She did her first NPC bikini competition ever. Welcome, Gina.
Hi, thank you, Samantha, for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Welcome back.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just want to, I think that's so amazing that you did a bikini competition, especially, it's something you've never done before. So I just want to start off and ask you, what made you sign up? What inspired you to want to do a bikini competition?
It's actually multiple things that kind of inspired me, but one is just I saw somebody close in my circle doing this. My best friend actually is a competitor, and I've been witnessing her do this experience for about 3 years. And just briefly about her, she's had 3 children, just like me. She's in her 40s. I'm 49. And we've been best friends for 15 years, single moms to now married, corporate to now self-employed entrepreneurs. So I've seen her, through all these stair-stepping things. And so she inspired me. And the key thing that really spoke to me was where I just about a year ago, I challenged myself to really flip things. And what I mean by that is I was bullying myself a lot. I was bullying myself that I couldn't do what she did. There's no way, my body, I don't have the genetics, the physique, or the butt, I don't have those things. And but what happened was, it was during a time in my life where I was transforming my mindset. You know how we do that. We want to have a better, stronger mindset. And, it came to that point where I felt pretty strong in my mind, but I hadn't quite been doing the actions. So I challenged myself last May, basically that come to Jesus talk with yourself, where I said, you're now going to, that fork in the road, you're now going to catch yourself, when you find yourself saying you can't do something, you're going to turn around and you're going to do it. So that was my challenge to myself. So one of the first things I caught myself saying was, oh, I could never do what she does, ever. Bikini, those poses on stage, no, I can never do that. And then I reminded myself at that moment, remember, you promised yourself that you were not going to bully yourself, and you're actually going to take actions and challenge yourself and do the things that you say that you can't do, or do the things that, you always say, one day I'll do that, or, sometime I'll get to that. Well, no more. So at that moment, literally, I said, okay, I'm going to go to her competition that was coming up, and I'm going to go backstage and just test it out, see if it's for me, right? And I actually went thinking I was going to talk myself out of it. There's just no way I was going to do bikini competition. But long story short, I went to her competition, and the women's stories backstage were so empowering and powerful. And I thought, these are the kind of women that I want to be around. I'm working on my mind, working on my body. So yeah, that was what inspired me, is just challenging myself to take some bold action in my life for once.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So, yeah.
And I love it because it's yes, you did it for bikini, but I feel like this is good for anybody that's struggling with business or, any part of their life. You decided you've had your business for so many years, and you've pushed yourself in your business, but this is your own personal goal. But I love that it can reflect into, every aspect of everybody's life. People who are watching, they can truly be inspired by something like this, because you're never too old to do what you've always wanted to do. And it's never too late to take that chance, take that risk. And I feel like when you do step into those areas where you're surrounding yourself with the right kind of people, you do show up differently. And you're like, I need to be around this. So it helps you push yourself further.
Yeah, absolutely. And to take that to a different level, for me, a year ago when I started this, I was about 145 pounds approximately. So I've lost 20 to 25 pounds in a year. But I literally knew, and you know, we all come to this place in our life, that fork in the road. We're like, okay, you know, my health and fitness is not going to happen because I go to the gym once or twice, you know, or my business isn't going to grow if I don't take those necessary actions to achieve the certain goal that I want. And it's a cumulative effect. It's a compound effect. So it was last year for me, it was like that for me. I was like, okay, you're not going to achieve anything without you showing up for yourself.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I was not showing up for myself. You know, it's kind of like you educate yourself, you work on your mind, and you have all this training, and then what are you going to do with it?
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like, I mean, I can relate to that, because there's days when I sit here and I'm just like, oh, I feel like I'm in such a funk. And it's like, you feel that way when you're not showing up for yourself and you're not living your life on purpose. So when you give yourself a purpose, you give yourself a mission, you give yourself a goal, you know, it really helps lift you up during those times.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and bikini competition may not be for everybody. I get that.
Yeah.
I was very athletic growing up, and my kids are teenagers. It just got to a place in my life where I needed something for myself. I needed a really centered focus. Mm-hmm. And this was the next level for me, because I've been at the gym working out, but never really been at the gym intentionally. And I mean, I was 20 pounds overweight. And most women are kind of like that. You know, they want to lose 5 to 20, 15, 20 pounds in that range, and we're stuck. And that was me. And so, you know, bikini competition might not be for everybody, but if you're trying to lose 5 to 10 pounds, you know, you've really got to show up for yourself and go, okay, you know, self, what are you going to do about this? And are you really tired of, you know, being 5 to 20 pounds overweight, and, you know, having an action plan, and, you know, moving forward with that action plan is very, very key.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny, because when you were talking about that, it reminded me years ago when I have 3 kids, and my youngest is now 7. When she was a baby, I remember like I was working out, I was eating well, and it was like I had those last few baby pounds to lose. And I actually signed myself up for a half marathon, which was something I had always wanted to do. And it helped me drop the weight. It gave me a goal, and it forced me to get out and go running every few days, just to, you know, stick to that goal. And when you accomplish it, you're like, this is great.
Absolutely. Even if it's a 5K, you know, yeah. I mean, just something, you know, give yourself, you know, small baby steps, because I could not have completed this competition without taking it one day at a time. And that marathon took you 1 mile at a time. Mm-hmm. And I'm not a runner. Unless you're chasing me, I do not run. So weights and training, and in your 40s, you don't want jiggly arms. You want to have like this, you want to have like a physique, you know, and after 3 babies, you know, my boys were 9, 14, so almost 10 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
You know, so, you know, I didn't have the perfect skin. I have stretch marks, you know, yeah, so I did it anyway.
That's awesome. Yeah. I want to switch gears and ask you a little bit about your whole training process. Like, you know, I know it's such a big undertaking and such a commitment to train like that and to eat like that. What helped keep you on track during the entire process, from like the day you decided until your competition?
You know, that is a very popular question and a good question. I've in my community, I've had a lot of women just ask that same question. And a lot of what I did to stay on track was I really had to ask myself some questions, and I wrote them down so I didn't want to forget. So I want to share it here, because they're questions that you have to ask yourself. And one of them is your why, of course. You know, is your why big enough to keep you on track? You know, how bad do you want to lose the 5, 10 pounds? You know, if you know, so you got to ask yourself, it's that really hard question, you know, why do I want to do this? And, you know, do you really want to achieve this? It's one of those, if you really ask yourself and go, you know, do you really want to do this? Then you have to ask yourself these following questions, which I wrote down. One is, are you willing to put in the work and stay consistent? And then, are you willing to make the sacrifices? And lastly, are you willing to start showing up for yourself? You know, eating, staying on your program and going to the gym, you know, whatever it is for you, you know, again, it may not be a competition, but if you're trying to lose 5 to 20 pounds, you know, start with the basics, you know, which is, you know, your sugar intake, you know, and carbs are good for you, people. Carbs are good. It's just, when are you eating your carbs and how much of it are you eating? But, you know, it's just that mindset that you've got to just ask yourself, why am I doing this? You know, am I willing to stay consistent? And for me, you know, a lot of people say, well, you had a competition. Of course you had to stay on track. You know, I'm like, no, I didn't really have to. I could have fallen off the wagon. And you know what? I did. There were times where I fell off the wagon. I wasn't perfect, but you know, how resilient are you going to be when you know, oh crap, I ate the whole large pizza versus just 1 or 2 slices. You know, when you fall off the wagon and you slip and you don't go to the gym that day and you ruin it for a moment or a day, that's where people end up giving up.
Yeah.
And you have to decide at that moment, okay, yeah, I totally screwed up. I'm off the wagon. But that doesn't mean you're not sailing on the boat anymore. It doesn't mean you can't get back on and climb back on and be resilient. So those are the things that and they're things that I'm working on with myself, is like, okay, how resilient are you going to be? Are you going to show, and I keep saying that because it was a really big deal for me to show up for me, because I am the type of person that I give to you, I give to you, I give to you, and I help other people, and I do so much for other people, and I like to see other people succeed and be happy, and I'll stop everything for my kids, you know. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm like 20 pounds overweight and I'm not showing up for myself. I'm not taking the actions. I'm eating this for the moment because it's making me feel good right now. But after I eat, I say pizza a lot because that's my downfall. But, you know, pizza and chips, you know, I'm not a sweet tooth, so luckily. But, you know, those are things, I hope I'm not over talking about all that. But
good. Yeah.
It really is. For me, it was really how, you know, if I want to stay consistent and disciplined, then I really got to ask myself those hard questions every day.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I love that. As moms, like we give to everybody else. And then we feel like we get frustrated because we don't show up for ourselves. We don't take care of ourselves the way we want to be. So when you do commit to something like this, and yeah, I love what you even said. Like there were days I failed, but you got back up and you kept pushing. And it's true. Like I've done that before in my life. Like I've gotten to the point where I'm like, oh, forget it. I just, you know, I'm done. And then you get to that point a couple weeks later and you're like, why did I stop? I need to just start up again. And I just feel like you have to always be like your own personal cheerleader. You have to keep pushing and yes, acknowledge I made a mistake, but we all make mistakes. We're human. And that's what makes this so powerful.
I totally agree. Totally agree.
And then I just want to ask you one more question. And this is a good one. When you were up on stage, because I know this was such a big deal to do, like when you were up on stage with your bikini on, your spray tan, your makeup, all that stuff, like what was that feeling of accomplishment? Explain that whole experience. Like I did this, I'm doing this. Like what was that like?
Well, I can tell you on stage, it's kind of like a deer in the headlights and you can't breathe and you're like, you don't even have space to think anything but, you're just, it was such an overwhelming feeling being on stage. I don't remember thinking too much besides smile, show confidence. This is your time to, you know, honor yourself and your commitment and hard work. So that was kind of my self-talk right before getting on that stage. And then on the stage, I literally was, again, I hate to say showing up for myself, but that was kind of my motto and has been since I've made these changes in my life, because literally I'm 49. It wasn't until this last year where, I mean, I should have thought of this a lot sooner, 20 years ago. You got to show up for yourself. Things aren't going to happen for you. But anyway, on stage, it was just like a deer. I was shocked, excited, and I chose to turn that fear and excitement, that's the same feeling, I just decided to turn it excitement. But it was a crazy moment on stage, but it wasn't until after, you walk off stage that you're like, oh my God, I did it. Oh my God. Oh my God. And then, my kids were there, and I have a 15-year-old. So I'm like, did I embarrass you? And he's like, no, oh my God, your abs, so, it made me feel proud, and I can hear them, my boys hollering from the audience, made me feel proud. It was a surreal moment, very surreal. It feels so good knowing I did it, and that I did it. I did it for myself. I wasn't trying to win first place. Mm-hmm. My butt is still not where it needs to be, my legs. But I went showing up for just myself, not for anybody else. I knew me being on that stage just represents, and I'm going to cry.
Okay.
Just being on that stage represented just me doing it for myself.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I am so proud of you for doing that. I just think that's such a undertaking, and something like so scary to literally put on this bikini and just stand up in front of like hundreds of people. Like, that is just such a scary thought, but at the same time, like, it's so empowering. Like, you accomplished something that, that years ago you're like, I'm never going to do this.
And I will add to this, because this was a big part of the journey and lessons I've learned in business and in this competition, is that when you rise up for yourself, there will be people that will be like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? Are you really sure that's for you? Sorry, my grandpup wants to be in. But, it was just, when you rise up, these things, noise and things will happen. So I want to encourage you, and anybody that's watching this, stay focused on your why and the reasons why you're doing this. And you're doing this for you. I knew me being I have family, I won't say who, but I have a family member that very close to me, a parent that wouldn't come because, it might have been just because I'm in a bikini, but still, it just, when you don't get the support you thought you were going to get from somebody, or you're getting pushback from people like, is that really, Christ-like, is that really, the faith that you should be doing? Is that really, but I had to stay focused. I knew my purpose, and that's with your business and in your health. When I was going to network marketing, or when I was going to networking luncheons, or events, I'd bring my own little Tupperware, and people were like, oh, you're eating that, and I'm like, yep, I am. You just have to show up for yourself and not really pay attention to all the noise, and not, because we tend to underplay things, right? Like, oh my God, you look amazing. And you're like, oh, it's not much. It's nothing, oh, I'm just eating this salad. It's no big deal. But really own, and that's what I'm here to share with women, is just own you, own all of you, own little of you, big of you, wherever you're at, own where you're at, and, stay focused, and, go with the punches, because you will get punched in the face when you rise up.
Yeah. And that was a good point too. Like, there's so many naysayers around us, and it's usually the people closest to us that are our biggest naysayers, and the biggest ones that are like, you can't do that. Who do you think you are? And, the fact that you pushed through that, and the fact that you just kept going, you're like, no, my why is stronger than all the negative talk, and even the people around you, wherever you go. I do the same thing. Like, I'm very clean with my eating, and I always bring food everywhere I go. And, it is sometimes really hard to do. And at the same time, like, you wish you could be sitting there eating what everybody else is eating. But, it does make you feel good afterwards. You're like, I feel good after I ate. Like, I don't feel gross. I know I ate something that was nourishing for me. And, I'm not going to let other people tell me how to live my life.
Yeah. Exactly. It's all up on you, you know, like you said, you feel better after eating that good quality food. And, you know, of course I get cheat meals and I'm not perfect.
Right.
But that's what I love. I'm always ready, you know, for the eating healthy part of it, just because I feel good. I don't have that bloating feeling. I don't have my guts not so I'm not tired and dragging through the day. I feel pretty energized. So, you know, you may not, and choose foods that you like, you know, there's foods in my diet that I like, that I choose to eat. So it's not like, you know, I have to eat it and it's terrible. You know, yes, it consists of more vegetables, but you know what? We need vegetables,
Yeah.
you know, so.
And if you make it right and you season it right and you make it the way you like it, you don't feel like you're deprived.
Absolutely. I found salt-free seasoning. I've found sugar-free barbecue sauce, and it tastes amazing.
Yeah.
The sugar-free and zero-calorie ranch-free is not very good. It's not like the original ranch.
Right.
But, you know, there's certain sacrifices that you make because it feeds your soul. Like we feed our mind with positive thinking and affirmations and, you know, all these podcasts and these videos, but what do you put in your body right after you watch these videos? Are you going to go eat a hamburger every day, or just eat a hamburger once a week and, you know, maybe switch it to a turkey burger or veggie burger? But, you know, there's alterations that you can make and adjustments. It's just got to choose. It's hard at first. I'm not saying it's easy, but once you get into the habit and you start feeling good and seeing the results, then you go, okay,
Yeah,
I can do this.
And then you crave those healthy foods.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely do.
Awesome. Gina, thank you so much for being here today. Do you have any other final words?
No, I'm just blessed. If anybody has any questions about, you know, your health or fitness, I'm happy to give you some encouragement and lead you to the people, the specialists that handle nutrition. But if you're just wanting some basic knowledge of stuff that I've done for the competition, I've had a lot of people say, I might want to compete. You know, what are the do's and don'ts? Or I just want to change my eating habits. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to just message me. No problem.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here today. This was a lot of fun.
It was, but thanks, Samantha, for letting me share that crazy journey.
Yeah, and congratulations again. I'm really excited for you and proud of you that you did something that you never thought you were going to do. So that's such a huge accomplishment, and you should be really proud of yourself.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much.
Enjoy the rest of your day. And thank you guys so much for tuning in today. I will be back next Tuesday, 10 a.m. Central Time, with another awesome speaker. So thanks, Gina. Bye, everybody.
Bye.